How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather Spoiler 1000, and in this video we're going to focus on the next severe weather threats that should impact the southeast as well as the Midwest this week and into next week. And we'll also talk about the next major heat wave that's bound to impact the lower 48 this week. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin by taking a look at the current radar throughout the United States, and we do have some thunderstorm activity occurring right now, right around the southeast. We do have these lines of thunder showers now developing right around South Carolina and Georgia, and some of these thunderstorms embedded within this line are severe, where we do have severe thunderstorm warnings issued. So if you're along the South Carolina or Georgia coastline, you need to watch out for severe thunderstorms because they're pretty much right at your doorstep and will impact you guys at any minute at this point. And we do have some thunder showers occurring further northward as well, closer to North Carolina, Virginia, as we do have this small trough that's moving through that's going to continue to move eastward. However, I wouldn't say this trough will necessarily bring an extremely impactful severe weather event, because the jet stream is well further to the north, and so there isn't a ton of instability around the low pressure system, but there is just enough to where we are seeing severe thunderstorms develop along embedded in these thunder showers. So watch out for damaging winds, as it should be the main threat. And we even have some tornado watches issued for South Carolina, which is definitely something to be concerned about. But I will still say that the tornado threat will likely be limited, as again there just isn't a strong enough amount of wind shear in the southeast to really induce a tornado threat that's necessarily significant. And if we were to take a look further westward, we do have some thunder showers as well moving through Texas, and some of these could be considered severe, such as this supercell thunderstorm we're seeing right here just to the west of Waco, Texas. So you need to watch out if you're around this area. But again, I don't think the severe weather threat for today will necessarily be extreme, but it's at least something to pay attention to, because I think damaging winds could still be are still a high possibility with in these severe thunderstorms, and that could bring damaging impacts to your location. So make sure to keep that in mind. If we were to take a look at the current warnings issued, you see that tornado watches are issued right around the northwestern portion of South Carolina, and severe thunderstorm watches are also issued through a large portion of South Carolina and into the eastern portion of Georgia as well, as it seems like severe weather is imminent for you guys. I still don't think there's going to be necessarily a major tornado outbreak, but there still is that possibility of a tornado embedded in some of these thunderstorms. And what's interesting is that we also have flood watches, as that should be another concern for the Midwest over the next 24 to 48 hours, as this trough continues to move eastward, and it's going to move eastward very slowly because it's pretty much going to be disconnected from the jet stream, which is well further northward, as it's going to be one of those slow moving upper level lows that has just enough convective available potential energy for a heavy rain threat to occur. If I were to show you guys the temperatures right now, look at the temperatures right around the Rocky Mountain region of Colorado. You see that there's just enough of a stark contrast when it comes to temperature, where we are seeing at least some thunderstorms develop, especially closer to Texas, where the instability is a lot higher, because you see that right around the border of Oklahoma and Texas, temperatures are hovering around the low 60s, while if you were to only go several miles southward, you see temperatures quickly rise to the 80s. So there's just enough instability in Texas for a major severe weather threat, or at least a moderate severe weather threat to occur. And same goes for the southeast as well. Now, to show you guys what the computer models are stating at this point, let's just first take a look at the GFS model. You see that there, this is a trough I've been talking to you guys about. It's I guess you could classify it as an upper level trough, because it's fairly far disconnected from the jet stream, so it's more likely to move slowly and won't move very fast to the east. And this upper level lows typically don't really get a strong amount of instability because they're independent from the baroclinic influences that are associated with the jet stream. So as a result, we typically don't see as much instability, but there's still that possibility of severe weather associated with that upper level low. But eventually it will dissipate as a result of a lack of instability. But you see that this low pressure system in the southern Midwest is only getting started, where we do see thunderstorms develop right around Texas, and we do see snow in the higher elevations of Colorado, which shows that there's just enough cold air to induce a high amount of buoyancy in the atmosphere for the Gulf of Mexico states as well as the southern Midwest. So we are seeing thunderstorms develop, and I'd say the thunderstorm threat will be moderate for tomorrow. Damaging winds should be the primary concern, while hail and tornadoes, you can't rule those out either, but damaging winds should be the primary concern with these thunderstorms. But I think possibly even bigger concern is flooding associated with it, because as you know, flooding is one of the leading causes of weather-related deaths in the United States. So you definitely don't want to underestimate flooding when there is a possibility of flooding within your area, and that's certainly a possibility because the low pressure system is going to move relatively slowly. We have a ridge that's sort of going to block the low pressure system from moving directly to the east, and of course the jet stream is well up to the north, so there isn't really anything that's going to steer it very fast towards the east to move this low pressure system out of the Midwest. So there is a high possibility of flooding throughout Kansas, Oklahoma, where we do see thunderstorms developing, as that's certainly something to be concerned about over the next several days. And of course, we do see a little bit of line develop of moderate severe weather, so make sure to keep that in mind. And if I were to continue to move forward, you see that eventually the severe weather threat should subside as the low pressure system continues to move further northward, and we do see a little bit less cold air associated with this trough as it continues to move eastward, and it pretty much and as the leeward side of the lee side of the winds warm up as they move eastward. So as a result, we will see the instability decrease, but we do have another trough that's should be a pretty big concern into next week, because there's going to be a lot of cold air behind it. I mean, we're still seeing snow associated with this next trough right around Idaho, into the Cascades of Washington and Oregon, and into Wyoming and Montana as well. There should be snow in the higher elevations, and the reason why I point this out is because there's going to be quite a bit of cold air to induce an unstable environment in the Midwest into next week, where we do see a trough develop and a pretty big line of thunder showers and just enough cold air to where severe weather could be a strong possibility into early next week. Now, if I were to show you guys the convective available potential energy levels, you're going to see why it's something to be concerned about into next week, because hold up, let me just fix this internet real quick. Okay, so now to show you guys the convective available potential energy levels into next week, look at how far the energy moves up from the Gulf of Mexico, because typically we see the most convective available potential energy linger around the Gulf Coast states, but you see this moving quite a bit far north, which means that there's going to be a lot of lift in the atmosphere for potentially a major severe weather threat to occur in the Midwest. There's still a lot of uncertainty because this is going 6 days out. We need to see if how much cold air there will be associated with this low pressure system as it moves eastward. That's going to be key in determining the amount of unstable air. We're also going to need to see how the winds align themselves between the mid-levels, the upper levels, and the lower levels of the atmosphere, because that will be key in determining if there will be also a major tornado that's associated with this. But if we were to see convective available potential energy levels this high, then a tornado threat is definitely more likely, because of course there's going to be a lot more lift in the atmosphere. The updrafts will be far stronger, which means that there's a higher probability of severe weather, because the only way convective available potential energy levels could be this strong is if there's a strong contrast when it comes to temperature in the upper levels of the atmosphere, which would cause a strong shift in wind direction with heights, which would induce a major tornado threat. Where if we were to look at these energy levels, you see that we're hovering around 5,000 in some areas, which is just insanely impactful and insanely strong and could cause our next major severe weather threat. Now, like I said, there's so uncertainty. We're going to need to wait and see how the jet stream positions itself as the slow pressure system moves northward. I wouldn't say we'll get a definitive answer of how much cold air there will be until maybe this weekend, right around Friday. That's when we should narrow down how much unstable air there will be to really determine how bad this severe weather threat will be. But I will say that severe weather threat for the northern Midwest is likely, so you should at least be aware and potentially be prepared accordingly in case that there is a major severe weather threat into early next week for the northern Midwest. And also, the timing might not be necessarily extremely perfect. There's still that possibility that so precious and moves faster, which means it'll impact you guys earlier or a little bit slower. So we're just going to need to wait and see how much unstable air there will be. But I will say that a severe weather threat is likely. We're just really determining how the magnitude exactly the severe weather threat will be from northern Midwest. So make sure to pay close attention to that. Now, another thing that I want to show you guys, so here is the convective outlook for today. We do have severe, a slight chance of severe weather for Texas and into New Mexico, and I'd say a slight chance of severe weather, according to the Storm Prediction Center, is more leaning towards a moderate chance. So don't really take slight into complete consideration when forecasting the amount of severe weather you should expect, because slight is more so leaning towards moderate. So just keep that in mind, as of course we are already seeing a multitude of severe thunderstorms occurring right around South Carolina and Georgia. So that automatically does enhance the chance for severe weather in that area. So slight is more like moderate, and we do have that possibility for the southeast and Texas for today and into tomorrow. The risk does subside right around the Carolinas, as of course this upper level low will weaken along with the baroclinic instability, but we still do see that severe weather threat throughout Texas and into extreme southern portions of Oklahoma. But again, heavy rain should be more the main concern further northward, and we do have a slight chance along Texas coast as well, closer to Houston. So make sure to pay close attention to that. Now, the rainfall will, again, like I said, be the issue associated with this chart, because we could see 3 to 5 inches of rain right around Kansas and Oklahoma, which is more than enough to cause potentially a major flooding threat. And even outside of that, we're seeing rainfall equivalent to 1 to 3 inches, which is something to be concerned about, especially since there is a pretty good possibility that flash flooding could be a concern, because this low pressure system will primarily be compromised of thunder showers developing. And of course, that rainfall and thunder showers will fall at a very fast clip, which could lead to flash flooding. So make sure to keep that in mind. And you see in the southeast as well, we are seeing right around the mid-Atlantic states, we are seeing a decent amount of heavy rain, right around 1 to 2 inches. So make sure to watch out for that, especially when driving tonight in the southeast. Here's a forecast for the next 5 days, and we are gonna see elevated risk of heavy rain also for Texas as this trough continues to move eastward. So make sure to pay close attention to that as well. Now, taking a look at the 5-day tropical weather outlook, we did have an invest earlier today and into and yesterday as well, but it seems like the threat has subsided, which is certainly good news. So no tropical cyclones are expected over the next 5 days. But now I want to shift my focus to the temperature, to the upcoming heat wave for the United States, because if we were to take a look at temperature anomalies right now throughout throughout the lower 48, you see that for the most part the United States is experiencing temperatures cooler than average, and it's no surprise we are seeing a fairly strong trough move through the area. So that's suddenly raising the concern for cooling down the temperatures quite a bit, but we will see eventually the heat increase over the next several days. And we're going to see a big ridge build right around the western half of the United States, where we're going to see temperatures 15 to 20 degrees above average for a lot of areas right around the drought-stricken regions of California, Arizona, Nevada. Those areas should experience temperatures well above average, as we're going to see a strong ridge build, and this should move further eastward as well into early next week, where we do see those temperatures rise well over 10 to 20 degrees above average in some areas, and we could see this shift into the East Coast, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be as big along the East Coast, as we will see a trough linger around a little bit more, which should bring down the air temperature a bit, but we still are seeing air temperatures much warmer than average for the United States into later this week and into early next week, especially for the West Coast and the Midwest, where we are seeing a strong ridge build throughout the United States for next week. But we will see temperatures cool down again along the western portion half of the United States, where right around the late time frame, next week time frame, and early next week time frame, we will see a trough move through, which should cool down the temperatures quite a bit. But we should expect temperatures well above average as a result of a strong ridge building throughout the United States, and the certainty is high with this one. So if you're still hoping for those summer temperatures, now is the time to get excited. Right around Memorial Day weekend for a lot of you guys, which is definitely good news, but it might be too hot for some individuals, so make sure to pay close attention to that if you're not necessarily a fan of the heat, because we're gonna continue to see temperatures rise throughout the United States going into this weekend. Now, taking a look at the 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook, you see that most likely the majority of the United States will experience temperatures well above average, so you should expect into the 6 to 10 day time frame and into this weekend. So that's something to keep in mind. The only areas where temperatures should be cooler than average is the Pacific Northwest, where we will still see a multitude of troughs move through that could, like I said, create our next severe weather threat. But outside of that, the temperatures should be much warmer than average, so make sure to prepare throughout the United States for that. And here's my outlook when it comes to severe weather. For the Southeast, severe weather, the primary threat should be today, while for Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, the severe weather threat should primarily be the worst month from today all the way to Wednesday, because after Wednesday, that's when severe weather threat should subside, and we do have that possibility of a major severe weather threat next week. So I'll keep you guys updated regarding that forecast, because there's still uncertainty regarding the magnitude. And taking a look further westward, a huge heat wave is upcoming, and this should move eastward, like I just showed you with what the GFS model is stating. So make sure to keep this all in mind for this week for the United States. But anyways, guys, I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content, and I hope you guys all have a great day.